We know this is a podcast tonight. I call it I Got Something to Say, so it must be true. This is number Sweet16. I can't believe it. We've been doing this for 16 times. Tonight I'm going to talk about something that's kind of been on my mind. And I decided I'd bring it up. I'm trying to break the monotony and not talk about politics so much because it's just dominating everything that we do. And I know everybody's super saturated with all of that foolishness and impeachment trial and what have you. So with that being said, I'm going to just kind of take you guys back. Carl and I sung in a church choir together, so he knows what I'm talking about. But I'm sure all of you guys know what I'm talking about. You remember being a kid in church and hearing adults say, "Boy, Red was stepping on toes today." I remember asking my mom what that meant, and she said it referred to the pastor preaching and scolding the adults for not doing what they were supposed to do and not setting a proper example for the young people in the church. Today, the only place we find morality seems to be on This Is Us or reruns of MeTV. Social media has just bombarded us with memes of women proudly calling themselves bitches, and it annoys me. My favorite meme of this genre says, "Next time I'm going to shut the F up." What? As I watch many of my female Facebook friends proudly confess, "Girl, that's me right there," I hear the majority say things like, either they say, "Next time I'm going to shut the F up," or "I said what I meant and he just going to have to deal with it." And I'm perplexed. The question that I ask myself, and this is rhetorical to the women, why would you do something knowingly to sabotage a good relationship or chance for happiness over and over and over again with somebody that you profess to love? Tonight's podcast goes further than just that. It's an observation. So I'm just trying to bring you this message as it was kind of brought to me. My motivation for this podcast is the subconscious things that affect us and the lessons we teach our children. Tonight podcast, I kind of titled "Forget the Wise Man, Mothers Our First Teachers." What we watch shapes us. Like it or not, it does. Growing up, most families had one TV, and they watched programs, and programming was geared to families. Whether it was Leave It to Beaver or the Brady Bunch, there was a moral message based on love and family unity. The moral being, treat others as you want to be treated. The 1970s, moving from the 50s to the 70s, gave us shows that were more modern. Imagine All in the Family being ground zero. And out of that ground zero, Archie and Edith, Stifle It, Edith, were the basis for the Jeffersons, Maude, and Good Times. Norman Lear realistically showed us that both Archie and George were lovable bigots you couldn't help but to love, mainly because they wind up being the butt of their own jokes. Though George and Wheezy were black, everyone took pride in a hard-working man moving up to the Upper East Side. Maude was Edith's progressive, feminist cousin, and Maude had a proud black male maid. Let me say that one more time. Maude had a proud black maid named Florida Evans. Shortly thereafter, Florida introduced us to the Dreams We Lucky We Got 'Em, Good Times, and her family. Sanford and Son showed us a cantankerous black junk man from St. Louis living in Watts who could still be a loving father. Like Archie, Fred was an equal opportunity bigot who used racial slurs such as whitey. He called his son a dummy. He insulted his sister-in-law, Esther, and he made fun of his Hispanic neighbors. But Fred lovingly tolerated everybody. No matter the show, people of color were glad to see diversity, and somehow we jokingly dealt with both sides of the coin we call racial bias, whether it was Archie or Fred. Today's TV, I keep saying, I don't get it. Growing up, every program on TV had a moral ending that taught us that despite our differences, we should follow the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now, every reality program is scripted to maximize drama, chaos, and conflict. Whether it's Survivor, Big Brother, Haves and Have-Not, Greenleafs, Housewives, or whatever, the most ruthless, conniving, and manipulative person wins. The most common word on TV is bitch. Even cop shows refer to the perpetrator as a SOB. Leave It to Beaver never showed June and Ward in the bed. Ricky and Lucy were married, and they slept in twin beds, as did Rob and Laura. Nowadays, every primetime show is guaranteed to have butt-naked bodies and booties in a bed getting busy doing everything. From the bed to the shower to the floor to the countertops. And hey, look, I'm not a prude, but I behave differently when I'm around my kids and my grandkids. And I can't, my kids are grown and I can't watch that kind of foolishness with them because it just makes me feel some type of way. That's just me. Growing up, most of us didn't live in a big house like the Bradys. But regardless to where we live, our old school mamas, made sure that our houses, our apartment was just as clean as if Alice or Hazel had cleaned them. The Bradys was a blended family, but we never saw Carol's ex-husband show up drunk or Mike's ex-wife call up cussing Carol out. Even when Good Times, Adam 12, or Mod Squad dealt with issues like drug abuse or child abuse, it was portrayed with a certain decorum. But they didn't insinuate that all people of that ethnic group or that age group were monoliths and would behave that way. This next part is about Tyler Perry. I asked myself, is Tyler Perry a movie tycoon, or is he just a one-dimensional, one-trick pony? I was listening to Ricky Smiley the other morning, and they were discussing the negative backlash that Tyler Perry is receiving. And admittedly so, I share that same sentiment. I too believe that his work, though it successfully employs people of color, is just too one-dimensional. As I said before, I grew up in New Orleans, and I'm proud of that. I lived on St. Anne and Claiborne in the Tremere area, and then we moved into the Desire housing projects in the infamous 9th Ward. Though there were some women who were Madeirish, the majority of the women in New Orleans were working mothers like Julia and Florida Evans. Most lovingly supported their men and raised their children with respect. After watching an interview with Perry, Felicia Richard, and Crystal Lee, the woman that played on In the Heat of the Night, all I could do was shake my head. Taylor bragged about writing a script in 2 weeks and filming a movie in 5 days. Then he gets mad when he gets ignored by Hollywood and critics that say his work lacks polish and the market product is subpar. He dismisses his critics by saying that he has a fan base that gets him and appreciate his one-dimensional movies. He blames it on, it's based on his mom and some women that he knew growing up. He also blames it on being financially taken advantage of in the past. But I'd be willing to bet $10 to a donut that now that Tyler has his own studio, he can afford a barrage of lawyers that would write ironclad contracts to ensure that his intellectual work product is protected, just as Disney and Columbia does when they decide to collaborate and develop diversity, be it Beauty and the Beast, Frozen, or Black Panther. Anybody remember Amos and Andy? I do. Though it was one of my favorites as a child, I can remember when it was taken off TV. It was taken off TV because the NAACP felt like it was too one-dimensional and it didn't represent the positive side of Black life and our aspirations. So this is what I call blacklash. Conversely, I can also remember the blacklash when The Cosby Show premiered because Black folks felt that it did not represent the Black working class, of Black working class families. I also remember John Amos leaving Good Times because Norman Lear's script offered no hope of ever leaving the Cabrini Green's projects. Week after week, we were dealt a hefty dose of JJ's buffoonery and dynamite. James' hard work was never rewarded. Thelma was a dancer that couldn't get out. Michael wanted to be a lawyer, but there was no hope. Even when she married a football player, he got hurt and they stayed in the project. So I can understand what James was talking about. Today's reality shows are asked, is it entertainment or not? Whose reality is this? When I go by a female friend's house, I'm floored by some of the things they're exposing their consciousness to. It doesn't matter the show. The women are acting up, acting out, and epitomize the true meaning of the B word. When I ask why, they say things like, it's just entertainment. I think it goes further than that. I think it's the reason why it's become increasingly harder to show restraint and hold your tongue. It hurts my feelings when the only roles that are offered to our actresses like Felicia Rashad or Cicely Tyson or Leslie Uggams are Black women with toxic tongues acting up and acting out in a true B word. Okay, let me move. It hurts even more when the writers and directors are Black. What subliminal messages are we sending to our wives, our girlfriends, our sisters, our daughters, granddaughters? Am I to believe that we cannot write and develop roles that portray us in a proud, favorable light that would be comparable to the roles that are offered to Meryl Streep or Glenn Close or some of the other well-named actresses of other colors? I know so many women. I know stories about those women, whether they were in my family or whether they were in my communities. They started off with meager beginnings, or as the young kids would say, they started from the bottom and now they're all the way up. Rumor has it that Angela Bassett turned down Monster Ball because she felt the role was too demeaning to Black women. I applaud her for it, if it's true or not. Insult to injury. I want to see actresses like Viola Davis playing Harriet Tubman. When we do not positively portray us, it collectively hurts. It hurts because it sends the message that the only roles that our women can play is a loudmouth, drama-laden female who flies off the handle at the slightest provocation and is quick to call you the B word. When we do not positively portray us, I equate it to a regressive step backwards. It's like Elizabeth Taylor playing Cleopatra or David Carradine taking the Bruce Lee role in Kung Fu. When the only role we play is the conniving reality vixen or the one-dimensional Tyler Perry woman, it subconsciously seeps into the head. And I think it inadvertently exits in the things we say and the things we do. Ladies, I know I'm preaching to the choir. It really isn't a black thing because these roles and these behaviors show all women in a negative light. The problem is, the roles for black women are few and far between. More important, the positive roles for black women are even more scarce. I know I'm coming down heavy-handed, and it's on purpose. Ladies, you are our children's first teacher. More important, you are the person that we choose as a mate. You're the glue that holds and sustains our relationships. Here I am again, sitting in my glass house. But it's how I feel, and I think that this is part of the problem. You not only teach our daughters how to act, you provide an example to our sons on how a woman behaves and what qualities or character flaws they should seek in a partner or a wife. Only you can tame your toxic tongue. Remember, words can cut to the core. That old adage, sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but words would, that's foolishness. Studies prove that if you tell your children that they can be anything that they want to be, and you reinforce that, over a period of time, they can become the next doctor to discover a way to preserve blood plasma, or the next person to invent or design a traffic signal. They can grow up and become the next 30-year-old Ryan Coogler and direct a Black Panther, something that gave us so much pride. Though I cannot speak for all men, I know I look for a certain type of woman that can disagree with me, have all mine without verbally destroying the relationship. The biggest difference between the women on TV today and yesteryear is the women of yesteryear lovingly ran their households. They demonstrated unconditional love to their families and the men in their lives. Short and sweet, ladies. This is not supposed to be long and drawn out. This is supposed to be something that I felt like I need to deliver to you. So this is my message. I admit that I too watch trash on TV. I also admit that I'm an old school hypocrite. Like my parents, I behave one way when I'm with my children and my grandchildren, and I behave another way when I'm with my peer group and my friends. But I never do anything that I'm going to, at some point, tell my children is wrong. Do as I say, not as I do. When they get to an age and they want to make up their minds about how they want to live, be it their lifestyle or their sexual preferences, I'm going to talk to them about it because I'm their dad. I'm going to offer them some respect. I'm going to offer them a man's opinion as someone who has 60 years of experience and has done almost everything. Certainly almost everything that I want to do. I want to bring this message to you because I feel like it's current. I feel like it's relevant. I feel like it's time to talk about some of these things. A friend of mine asked me, so what can we do? I think it's simple. Sometimes we have to not watch. When I became disillusioned with professional sports, I stopped watching football. I'm a diehard Laker fan, and I send my shout out and condolences to Kobe Bryant's family. But I haven't watched professional sports in a while, simply because I don't feel like they honor some of the athletes and their sacrifice. Simply because I feel it's too much of a business and less of a sporting contest. But this is my message. this is the message that was laid on my heart, and I'm delivering it to you. So remember, ladies, don't shoot the messenger. As always, in parting, this is number Sweet16. So I figure I would make it about relationships. I would make it about women and the fact that you are our children's first teachers. I thank God for my mom. I thank God for the women in my community. It really was a village, because they were those extended mothers, those surrogate mothers, and we need to go back to that. I thank you again for your time. I thank you for your attention. I thank you for your support. As always, in parting, I wish you love, peace, and hair grease. You guys be good. I got something to say, so it must be true. What's going on, Oliver? My little surrogate daughter there, she called herself Lights, Camera, Action. Really? Jaleesa. Oh, what's going on, nephew? Ah, man, that does my heart good. What's up, Tyrone? Frida. What's going on, Kate? I appreciate you guys showing up to give me your support. Hi, Gwen. I knew you would be here. Carl Tate, thanks, brother. It means a lot to see you supporting me, man. Liza with the Z. I should say Lisa one time just to make you mad, but I'm going to be good, at least for now. Hey, Linda, how's it going? Bev, you all up in this one, huh? I know. Sandra, Priscilla, thanks for tuning in, sweetheart. I really appreciate it. As always, imparting love, peace, and hair grease. Good night, folks. Y'all be good. See you next week.